Hello everybody, this is Ariane Arsenault, and today I have fantastic news. EcoSoya is back. For those of you who don't know who EcoSoya Brands is, it's a company that makes, in my opinion, the best soy wax ever. The best that I've worked with anyhow. I've tested quite a few in the past years because the owners of EcoSoya were NGI and they had a couple issues along the way. So there were periods of times where EcoSoya was out of stock. It was not in production for several different reasons. And then they went out of business a little bit over a year and a half ago. And I was devastated and I was praying, hoping that the company would be purchased by somebody else or that it would be brought back to business. And my wish was granted. EcoSoya is now under a new ownership. They are in the UK, and I'd like to thank them because they have sent me a full case of CB Advanced soy wax free of charge so that I could test and share the good news with everybody. So I have some wax here in my stock pot. It's ready to melt. Now, this is not the first time that I'm testing this wax. Actually, the chain of supply is different. So it's a very similar wax to what it used to be. But it burns a little differently, and I did have to change my wick sizes to have a great burning candle. So testing is mandatory, super important when you make candles. You can't just think that it's gonna work like it used to be, because even though the formula is most likely the same and proprietary, so we don't really know what's in this great wax, which is a good thing, you know, they're protecting their assets, but testing is mandatory. So what I can tell you is that it's still in a pastille form, which was the way it was before. Initially, the first time that I bought EcoSoya, and the EcoSoya CB Advanced that I've worked with in the very first year, so this was like 15 years ago, it was in a flake form, a little bit like what the Golden Brands 464 looks like, but it's been in pastille forms for a while, and it's actually pretty cool. EcoSoya have this great pastillator, and they shape the wax on it, and it kind of rolls out. It's pretty neat. It's on their Instagram account, so you can check that out. Super cool. I will leave all of the links below. So I'm forgetting something, but the video is just getting started. So let's get this wax melted, and I will tell you more along the way in the creative process of making soy wax candles with EcoSoya. Yes. The first step was to lay out my vessels and make sure that there's no debris, no dust, nothing in there, that they are clean and free of any strange things. And now I'm going to place my wicks and center them and stick them to the bottom of each jar, and I'm using some wick stickers. So I like to get them all lined up in the row, just like this. When we work with our clear vessels, such as, for example, this one, we usually have like a wick guide, and we sit our jar on it, and then we see the center. For this black candle, the bottom is matte, opaque, it's not translucent. But I'm okay. I have a pretty good eye, and I should be able to center them in position. So what I like to do is I just eyeball the center, and then I press it down. Then I take a wick centering tool, and I make sure that my wick stays in position. The vessels are ready to receive some wax, and I am going to measure the cranberry relish fragrance oil so that it is the right quantity to go in the wax once that is melted down. This is a fragrance oil by bescented.com, and it just smells amazing. We love this fragrance oil. It just gives such a nice throw in the candles. So let's pour it out. Another thing I realized when I received the new reformulated CB Advanced is that the working temperature of this wax are different than the previous version. So first of all, I have a sheet that was sent to me by the company with all of the information. The melt temperature is 75 degrees Celsius, which is great. I'm Canadian. I speak in Celsius. If you are used to measuring temperatures in Fahrenheit, get one of these because you can set it. Okay, see this is Celsius and you can switch to Fahrenheit fairly easily by just clicking the button. So my melt temperature right now is 80 degrees Celsius. They say not to heat it above 90 Celsius, which we are still in range. So I'll wait a little bit and I will add my fragrance oil when we are at a lower temperature. Time to color the wax. I am using Magenta by Canwax. The recommended temperature to add the fragrance oil is 60 Celsius, which feels weird to me, but I've tested it and it works. It works great. So that's what I'm gonna do. As usual, I'm gonna stir for a minute or two, and then I'm gonna transfer the wax in my little pouring pitcher and fill up my jars. The wax is in the jars, and now I'm simply gonna fold or bend the wicks so that they are straight in the jar, because hot wax will soften the wicks, and these little handy tools have a little clip that really helps to secure the wicks. The next step is to wait that the wax has completely cooled and is solidified. And if you have watched my previous candle video where I'm making the coffee and vanilla candle, you can compare the texture of the wax after it sets up. So the EcoSoya CB Advance is known to solidify without voids or craters. It creates a really nice and smooth surface. So we'll be able to test that and see if this new version, well, I know the answer, will harden up nicely. You saw in my previous video, and if you didn't, you just can click there, I'll link it. But I had to use a lot of heat gun to get the wax nice and smooth and even, and to fill up all of the air pockets that formed below the wax surface. This should not happen with CB Advance, so stay tuned, I'll be right back. The candles are fully hardened. They are back to room temperature. And as you can see, I have not touched them. I did not do anything to them. So let's check the texture of the wax. It is perfectly nice, perfectly smooth. If you look up close, there's a little bit of a drawback on the side of the jars. That tends to happen when the weather is a little cooler. If this was a clear glass jar, you would probably see some wet spots, which means like the wax kind of retracts as it cools down and hardens up. So I will remove the centering tools and then I will slightly heat gun them just to give them like not a smooth, because it's already very smooth, but a uniform look. I always like to trim the wicks before doing the heat gun, just because this long piece of wick is in the way. Well, if this is not a smooth top, I don't know what is. I'm so thrilled to have this wax finally back. It's actually funny because I had 20 cases of the NGI CB Advanced and I ended up using it all up like last week. I was down to my last case. And then I've been testing with this sample for about a little over a month. So it's a good timing. Of course, I have 20 cases on the way, but it will take several weeks before I get them. So that's gonna be a long couple weeks, but it's okay. Then I'll have like a wax supply for a whole year. Now what's left to be done is to put my warning and safety label. I have them printed out on these sheets. They're pre-cut labels, and I print them here on my laser printer, and then I laminate them by hand. That's why they're so glossy. It's really important to treat your candle well. So the first time you light up a candle that you just purchased, you should let it burn at least 2 hours until the wax pool, and the wax pool is the melted wax that forms when you light up your candle. So make sure that the wax pool reaches the edges of the glass jar. Soy wax has memory, and if you don't burn it all the way to the edge, then it will create like a smaller burning hole as you relight it subsequent times. Before relighting your candle, make sure that the wax is at room temperature. So like don't light it and then turn it off and then light it again just a couple of minutes later. That's not good. Also, you should always trim your wick. See how short the wick is? That's 1/4 inch. And you want to break it off with your fingers or cut it with a wick trimmer. We have these online. So we sell these wick trimmers, so you can just cut it and then the burnt piece will stay in the little container here. So trim your wicks before relighting them. Make sure to put them on a heat safe surface, away from any wall, any curtains, kids or animals, and always burn under supervision to make sure that everything is done safely. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you're a maker, I hope you learned something new. And don't forget to check the links down below in the description box. I will leave the links to my website if you want to purchase our candles. And I will also leave useful links for makers. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the holiday season, and I will be back very soon.